Hockey Podcast.
Cue intro music. Wow. It's like you're fighting Ganondorf, and then you hear this. All right. Well, this is episode 29 of the Handsome Hockey Podcast here in lovely Portland, Oregon.
Welcome.
My name is Jake. I am here with Evan.
Hi, I'm Evan.
That's Evan. Someday we'll get better at introductions. Today is not the day.
I'm bad at just like interpersonal introductions. I realize that part of the reason I don't remember people's names is I'm just so full of anxiety at meeting a new person.
When I meet new people and I don't want to be there, I will purposefully go to shake hands with my left hand.
Ah, that's
fucks up people's days.
That's very insidious. Insidious.
Yeah, deciduous.
That's very... You do not lose your leaves in winter.
Yes. Carnivorous, deciduous, coniferous.
Carnivorous.
Man, if conifers started eating flesh,
we'd be so fucked in the Northwest.
Yeah, there would be nobody left in the Northwest. It would be trees and occasional reptiles.
It'd just be a death zone. Be like my buddy's backyard when he had a Malamute.
Or
nothing lived.
Or like Chernobyl. So we don't have a whole lot to talk about today. I think part of that is, the NHL season is winding down. The NWHL is out. And part of it is we were kind of lazy this week, I think. Not lazy. Actually, no, that's completely wrong. Evan was thoroughly busy and it was my birthday. So I just decided I didn't have a podcast until about 4 p.m. today.
We'll find more to talk about as we go on.
This episode may be heavy on tangents.
That's A-okay.
Yeah.
Nothing says you have to stay on subject on your podcast all the time. There is no commandment.
Speaking of tangents, Derek Chauvin just got convicted.
He fucked around and found out.
Like almost no police officer before him has found out, though.
Yeah, statistically few.
It's like 4. In the last 20 years.
I think it's like 25.
For the first time in Derek Chauvin's life, he is amongst exclusive company.
His peers?
Yes, his peers are like the lady who shot Botham Jean in Texas and him.
There's the guy who shot Laquan McDonald in Chicago. I think he was the first. And I think they got a first-degree charge to stick on him.
In a word, good.
Yeah, it's not the ideal outcome of the situation. The ideal outcome of the situation is George Floyd is still alive.
Yeah, the ideal outcome is fewer dead black and brown people.
You did get a little bit of catharsis from the verdict, I think. I mean, I kind of allowed some of the rest of that saga to wash over me emotionally a little bit, and it was just like added to my feeling of exhaustion.
The biggest thing for me was... at least I can take that anxiety off my shoulders because the ramifications of him not being convicted
would have been heavy
from a civil disobedience standpoint, but more importantly, from a further tearing of the fabric of America.
Yeah.
And I know, again, speaking as a white person, if you can't trust the justice system, which I don't think you really can anymore, then that fabric starts to unravel rather rapidly.
Right.
So at least there was like this one tiny incident of being able to exhale and being like, okay, at least they got it right.
This time. And they got it right despite their best efforts. There was 4 other cops there that one of them sort of unsuccessfully tried to stop Derek Chauvin from strangling George Floyd. There's the PR release after the fact just says a man was killed in the process of work today. Completely downplays it. And, no doubt it would have just been just another statistic if it was not for bystanders, specifically one bystander that filmed it.
Had he not been convicted, the pile of evidence or the pile of bodies that, remain interred with no sense of closure or catharsis just is added to. You add George Floyd to Trayvon Martin. You add George Floyd to Breonna Taylor. Mm-hmm. And I guess there's just like this small inner voice that says, thank God.
That the system worked, or that the justice system worked as intended
the courts.
This time. Yeah, the overall system is still broken. The broken clock has been right once a day.
You'll notice one word that Evan and I have not said as of yet, which is justice. Derek Chauvin being convicted of George Floyd's murder is not justice.
No, it is not.
This is what's supposed to happen.
Right.
When you murder someone, you go to jail for it. Convicting a murderer is not justice. It's like the base level expectation. Mm-hmm. The base level is that you do not get away with murder.
If the U.S. court system holding cops accountable were a round of golf, it would be bogey, 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 until this one time we have hit par.
No birdies, no eagles, just a bunch of fucking shots in the rough, in the water, in the sand trap, off a tree, hitting your grandma in the face. Like, that's how bad...
Breaking windows.
That's how bad the justice system has missed so many times when half-heartedly attempting to convict police officers.
Right. Or, not even charging police officers, or not giving them adequate consequences to their on-the-job actions to dissuade them from further bad acting. I mean, Derek Chauvin had something like 22 reports of improper use of force. As a monster, he was not built in a day. He was created over time. And no doubt this is not the first time that he's acted in this fashion. It's just the first time he got caught.
It's not like he was a model police officer. He was a prick.
Well, I think on some level, wasn't he a trainer or something too? So, I mean, unfortunately, yeah, I think in some ways he was a model police officer.
They rewarded him like he was.
And plenty of police officers have come out and said things like, I saw one said, "We are all Derek Chauvin." It's like, yeah, that's the problem.
Yeah, you fucking prick.
But no, I don't think every police officer is Derek Chauvin. I think a lot of police officers serve honorably, but in a flawed system that dishonors a lot of their service, unfortunately.
We have the all cops are bastards movement, the ACAB movement. And what you just said is absolutely true.
Right.
Not every cop is evil and a murderer and wants to just destroy the lives of black and brown folks.
Right. In fact, probably the opposite is also true.
But they're all silent. And that's another problem, I should say, is that when Derek Chauvin murdered George Floyd with his knee, there wasn't an outpouring of police officers saying, "That's horrible, that's dishonorable, that's not how this job is done." There was no police outcry to say, actually, we need to convict this man. It was silence and a fingers crossed that the judicial system would do what it's supposed to do.
There's a huge dichotomy of things that are very uncomfortable truths that are all true compared to policing. And, I don't really think I subscribe to the all cops are bastards saying, even though maybe I've chanted it a couple times in anger. I think it's maybe more correct to say all cops are like bastard children of two systems. You have a policing system and basically a military system. And the two have become intertwined in a way now today that has created problematic oversight. Civilians don't have enough control over their own police forces. I listened to a really good interview with the head of the Center for Policing Equity, who's also a Yale law professor. He actually does a lot of scientific looking at law and crime and police officer activity across the nation and has a lot of really interesting stories to tell about it, and talks a lot about how, there are generally police officers trying to do the right thing that are stymied one way or another by the realities of their employment. And he talks about, police chiefs that are black and brown that have had sometimes to sue for their jobs, had to, thought that they were going to be able to make changes, but instead just tried to maintain their position and had to fight for their job. One thing I took away from his interview was that there's a groundswell of police officers attempting to do the right thing, but I think, the headwinds of the problem are just too heavy.
So if we want to find justice, then what really needs to happen is this needs to be a spark. It needs to be a spark where we take that spark and run with it to ignite the funeral pyre that should be the American justice system as it is currently built. At a certain point, you have to say, most of this doesn't work. Most of this is built to keep people that look like you and I in positions of power, and keep people who look like George Floyd with their cheek on the pavement dying.
To flip that, a lot of it does work exactly like it was designed to do that, horrible racist thing. The process of dismantling complicated systems is not easy, especially when they benefit people. We have a big challenge in front of us.
We have a big challenge in front of us, and so does hockey. There were months to prepare for the end of this trial. You craft a statement if Derek Chauvin is found guilty. You craft a statement if Derek Chauvin is found innocent. The NHL still managed to fuck it up. You had months and you had one job.
Yeah, you could have workshopped it ad nauseum like the NHL does with things. I mean, I think it from my perspective, it kind of went from the back burner to the forward burner real fast. So, you can see how an organization that is as flat-footed as times as the NHL just got completely caught off guard.
I mean, the NHL got lucky in that the Raiders released a statement that was, let's just say, really fucking awful.
It was just stupid. So what did they say? They said, we can breathe, or
yes.
And it's like, A, no, not really. And B, what is an NFL team to be able to say that?
Well, and he's an old white man with a shitty haircut.
Yeah, Mark Davis.
Yeah.
Mark Davis looks like he asked for an uncircumcised haircut.
He looks like he got the haircut that the kid in Problem Child has.
I mean, his haircut just looks like the tip of a penis.
Yeah. I mean, if you're going for max phallic imagery, you get Mark Davis on your sideline.
Yeah, and
paint him purple.
He's doubled down and said, yeah, that's the tweet I wanted.
Yeah. And to his credit, the family of George Floyd backed his tweet and, came to his defense.
Right, because they weren't trying to say a shitty thing. It was just completely so ham-fisted that they ended up looking dumb. But yeah.
Thanks to the Raiders, the NHL's totally shitty statement was overlooked and nobody paid attention to it. The NHL's statement was, while we hope the end of the trial offers a chance for healing, we remain committed to actively engaging in the movement for equality, and we invite our fans to join us in supporting systemic change.
Whoop-de-doo.
That's it.
It's just a lame statement. It's just kind of toothless. HR sent it out at the end of the day. Someone just riffed off an email and said it. Yeah, there was not much substance. The NWHL made a great statement and was very detailed and, said a lot of things that were lacking in the NHL statement. But I mean, in the scheme of things, it could be worse. Did you see what Tammy Laren had to say? It was like, oh, I guess Foot Locker is safe tonight or something like that. And I was like, oh, God damn it. Fucking Tammy.
She's one of the worst people in the world.
I know.
Someday
goes from...
Someday a bird is going to fly through her face. And people won't be all that upset.
I mean, it's just kind of funny that it's with the same Twitter account that she used to like talking about getting her pee popped in college.
Yeah.
Now she just says racist things for money.
Yeah. Well, I mean, she might still be doing the other thing for money. I don't know.
You know, I wouldn't give her shit for sex work if she was doing that. That's an admirable profession. That is much better than the rest of the bullshit she does.
Yeah, fucking legalize sex work while we're just like on topic for a second. That shit should be legal, and then we can protect these women.
Yeah, state of New York, the DA said they're not going to prosecute prostitution anymore.
Shouldn't have been doing it to begin with.
So you know what we're doing? Going to New York.
Selling ourselves.
Yeah. Starting an OnlyFans.
According to a couple of episodes ago, we've got one.
We should get an OnlyFans and just use it like a Patreon.
Can we? OnlyFans reaches out to us. So we've noticed there's no nudity on your OnlyFans.
It doesn't have to be nude. It can just be revealing.
Usually there's pussy.
I think there are many other orifices across OnlyFans. I think it's a multi-orifice platform by definition.
Our OnlyFans, again, will just be us in t-shirts and jeans waving. Hi, we're Jake and Evan from the Handsome Hockey Podcast.
We raise a bunch of money to ditch the t-shirts or something.
And then people are like, why did we do this? Why we should put the t-shirts back on.
You look like that one guy from Letterkenny. Put your shirt on.
Yeah, but not Wayne. We've got a Derry and a Squirrely Dan between the two of us. The NWHL statement was, you're right, is very good. It's accountability for the senseless murder of George Floyd does not undo pain or ease anger and frustration over systemic racism and hate. But we are hopeful that social justice and equality may prevail throughout our society. Already better than the NHL statement, it actually says something about George Floyd.
Yeah, right.
Our hearts remain with the Floyd family and all those impacted by his loss. Showing sincerity. Oh my gosh. The NWHL stands united with a commitment to support diversity, equality, and inclusivity on the ice and in our communities while using our platform and this great sport to influence change.
While somebody maybe would be well put to defend the facts in the last part of the statement about the NWHL, that's a really good statement. Yes, mentions George Floyd, talks about the hard road ahead. Good job, NWHL. I think the NWHL players also, should give a lot of credit to them for their personal statements throughout the throughout the aftermath of George Floyd's death. Now we get a chance to award them for their on-ice performance, as well as for exemplifying the qualities that we want to see in a professional hockey player.
Yeah, we did. One last thing. We did see statements from many NHL teams did a great job with their releases. The Hockey Diversity Alliance put out a great statement.
Yeah, it says something about how the NHL is run versus its franchises when the franchises, for the most part, all nailed the statement. And the NHL is like, what? Who's this about?
So... Was there a trial?
And then, also bears mentioning that we can't even get through the trial before someone else is horribly murdered. And then,
several other people.
Right. And then in the, days following, we have more trials coming in the future, hopefully for, malfeasance.
All right. NWHL.
Its players played hockey.
Yes. They played hockey. They played hockey well.
They did the hockey good.
And soon, some of them will be rewarded for their outstanding achievements.
Many did the hockey gooder than others.
So on April 22nd, the NWHL announced the finalists for the five awards that they give, the five major awards that they give out every year. We're going to kind of run through the gamut of these awards. The
awards are MVP, Defender of the Year, Goaltender of the Year, Newcomer of the Year, and the Dena Lang Award, which is awarded to the player who most exemplifies the qualities of perseverance, sportsmanship, and dedication to her sport.
So we'll run through these. MVP. Some familiar names.
Don't have to translate that one.
Yeah. I don't know that word, but the players in here are very good.
There's an accent grave, man.
The finalists for this award are Jillian Dempsey of the Boston Pride, Kaylee Fratkin of the Boston Pride, Michaela Grant-Mentis of the Toronto Six, and Christina Putinga of Boston Pride.
A lot of Boston Pride in that.
If you noticed a trend.
Yeah, they have a similar sort of McDavid-Draisaitl problem.
Well, and I'll say this. I think Michaela Grant-Mentis should win regardless.
I kind of think so, too. I mean, Jillian Dempsey played a pretty amazing season in playoff, but...
she was hurt for most of the wubble.
Yeah, but Michaela Grant-Mentis took it to another level.
Yeah, I think the issue I might see with this one is Michaela Grant-Mentis is also up for Newcomer of the Year, which we'll get to later.
I mean, you can still win.
You can win too, but they might be like, well, we're going to give her Newcomer of the Year, so we're not going to give her MVP.
Oh, I see.
But what we'll say, our pick is Michaela Grant-Mentis for MVP.
Yeah, she led all players in goals in regular season and averaged 1.5 points per game. She was one of the more consistent players from start to finish.
And also played on a team that didn't exist a year ago. So coming in and putting that sort of statement on the ice for a brand new franchise is huge. And I think both the numbers and the impact say to me that MGM is this year's NWHL.
Also the nickname.
Yeah,
come on, like
so good.
MGM for MVP.
The campaign is right there.
Yeah.
Built itself.
The t-shirts sell themselves.
Moving on, Defender of the Year.
They don't have a Drew Doughty around to just sort of give it to every year.
Or they don't have a Drew Doughty who we thought we were going to just give it to every year.
Yeah, that's kind of what I meant.
The finalists for this one are Shannon Doyle of the Connecticut Whale, Lindsay Eastwood of the Toronto Six, Kaylee Fratkin, and Mallory Suliotis of the Boston Pride.
Do we have a way to cut which Boston Pride defender?
Kaylee Fratkin led the league in points. I think Kaylee Fratkin is the obvious winner here. Led the entire NWHL in points during the regular season as a defender. And, we used to give Bobby Orr MVPs and Norris trophies for doing that exact same thing. And I'm pretty sure we need to give Kaylee Fratkin the award this year. Hats off, though, to Shannon Doyle and Lindsay Eastwood, who both had really strong seasons. Shannon Doyle on the Connecticut Whale, who really struggled to keep the puck out of the net last year. And this year were a completely changed team. Shannon Doyle's influence there was monumental. Lindsay Eastwood for being the top defenseman on a brand new team, a team that people thought was going to have defensive problems that didn't actually really show up until they played Boston in the semifinals. They were really solid on the back end all season. And Lindsay Eastwood is definitely a major contributor to that.
But yeah, Kaylee Fratkin totally wins this.
Yeah.
I mean,
again.
Yeah, she put together 9 points in the regular season and added another 2 assists in the playoffs. To me, defense always wins championships, and she won the championship. So, I think that honor belongs to her on a number of different levels.
Goaltender of the Year.
I'm interested to see who you go for here. I'm decided.
You are decided?
Yeah.
All right. So Elaine Chuley of the Toronto Six, Carly Jackson of the Buffalo Buttes, Amanda Levier of the Minnesota Whitecaps, and Lovisa Sealander of the Boston Pride. The easy answer here would be Lovisa Sealander.
And you would not be a wrong answer at all either.
No.
Like, she won and, kept pucks out of the net better than any of the other goalies.
She had some issues early in the Wubble where the Pride were bleeding goals.
Right, early. And then they turned it on.
But then they just said no.
And part of that was her doing.
They were a human or a hockey team full of DARE graduates. They just said no.
They gave the puck the cold shoulder.
And Sealander is absolutely the main reason for that. So they're going to be my pick. Is that your pick as well?
Nope.
I knew it.
I'm going with Amanda Levier.
You would.
I mean, she is statistically dominant.
I agree. I don't think either of us are wrong here.
No. You can never really be wrong with the goalie that wins the championship.
Well, and Levier was fantastic right up until that last game. And that last game, got away from Minnesota in a lot of respects.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it could have been a very different game.
It was closer score-wise than I think the game itself was.
Yeah, they, there was a goal that was disallowed pretty early on that could have changed the fabric of the game. But Amanda Levier in the regular season had a .936 save percentage, and in the playoffs had a .946 and a shutout. So, you can't really put much better goalie numbers together in the relatively short sample size that was this NWHL season and playoff.
I think it's probably going to be Sealander, but I'm pretty sure Levier should probably stand up and be like, what the fuck if she doesn't win?
Someone should.
What do I have to do?
Someone should Kanye. I'm going to let you finish, but Amanda Levier was the best goalie.
Had the best goalie season of all time.
Thank you. Thank you for finishing that the way that I was not going to get to. And she has the fish pads. I mean, the fish pads kill me every time. I'm just like, you have a giant fish on your pads. That looks awesome.
Newcomer of the Year would be the next award, or is the next. It's not that it would be. It is the next award. Some familiar faces in here: Carly Jackson of the Buffalo Buttes, Michaela Grant-Mentis of the Toronto Six, Sammy Davis of the Boston Pride, their first year in the league, or as the number 1 draft pick last year, and Haley Mack of the Minnesota Whitecaps round out the Newcomer of the Year award or nominees. We've already said Michaela Grant-Mentis should be the MVP, so I'm pretty sure that means she's the Newcomer of the Year as well.
Yeah, probably. Just to kind of give another player some credit, I really liked Sammy Davis for this award too. She absolutely lived up to her top picks billing and was part of the reason that the Boston Pride just turned into an unstoppable nightmare. She was the sort of leak out on the fly and get a good snipe shot kind of player. Absolutely was a good pickup by their GM.
Finally, the Dena Lang Award, awarded, as Evan said earlier, awarded to the player who most exemplifies the qualities of perseverance, sportsmanship, and dedication to her sport. I don't think we're going to bother listing the other nominees because is fine. The 3 nominees who shouldn't win are Jillian Dempsey. And you know what? I will give Shannon Doyle some credit here, where she is definitely second place. Shannon Doyle of the Connecticut Whale is definitely second place here, has had a very strong stance for LGBTQ and especially trans
athletes,
trans athletes and trans equality in the sport. Shannon Doyle, you're a rock star. Brooke Stacy of the Buffalo Buttes is another nominee. And finally, who we think should absolutely win this award, Soraya Tinker of the Metropolitan Riveters.
Yeah. Also a newcomer herself who, took it upon herself to kind of be the voice of the league when they really needed a voice and, stood up to some outside bullying that was going on in an incredibly tactful and persuasive manner. And so, a hats off to her. Can't say enough about what she did this year.
Yeah. So give the award to Soraya Tinker and then just turn off the Twitch feed. And Soraya will then give Shannon Doyle a hug because she probably deserves one for her efforts as well. It's got to be Soraya Tinker in this one. Standing up to $1 billion corporation that wants to destroy your league is
Yeah.
While also
Takes some
being
immense courage.
While also being a black woman in an extremely male and white dominated sport, standing up for yourself and for your fellow women, that takes guts. That takes courage. She got filleted on the internet because of her stances and never backed down. And because of that.
Yeah. If that is the kind of thing that they teach you at Yale, boy, I regret not trying to go, because that was impressive.
They didn't teach us that at our Big Ten public schools.
No, it's
Northwestern, maybe.
Yeah, it's thou shalt do what the agribusiness wants you to do.
Yeah.
Do you want to write a piece about how your chickens only live all of their lives in the dark? Nope. Yeah, I was also thinking that male equivalent of the Dena Lang Award is the Lady Byng Award, sort of. I mean, a rough equivalent. And, since that one, can the Women's Award reference a man in some strange way?
Well, I think Dena Lang's earned the right to be the namesake of this award.
Oh,
but
absolutely.
if they do another award, it could be like the Prince William Award. I don't know. I don't fucking know. I don't have any
Let's
jokes.
just make it for Prince. Just the Prince Award.
Yeah. The statue is purple.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Yeah, we can go with that. All right. So
That was my poor attempt at transitioning back to the NHL.
well, your poor attempt at the transition was what was kind of poor, but your explanation that was a poor attempt to transition back to the NHL worked really great, because guess what? Here we are. So yeah, Minnesota, Colorado, Vegas, and Carolina have now officially locked in playoff appearances this year. Probably in the next couple of days. By the time we record next weekend, there will probably be like 4 or 5 more. Games are coming in hot and fast here in the last couple of weeks. Buffalo, New Jersey, Columbus, and as of about 3 hours ago, Detroit have now been eliminated from playoff contention. It's, I don't know that any of those things are surprises.
Yeah, I was going to say the first 4 in and the first 4 out all look pretty much as we sort of thought they might.
Well, not Minnesota. I don't think we thought Minnesota.
That's true. That is the surprise.
I thought Minnesota would be the team that would be the last team in the West after St. Louis, Vegas, and Colorado.
But no, now they're the greatest show on ice. All
they're
of a sudden.
so much fun. They've won 7 in a row.
Locked up Ryan Hartman while they had the chance. He gets a new deal.
Yeah, why the hell not? I think we'll probably see Ottawa and Anaheim and the Kings and
Chicago
get knocked out here in the next week. But
it's amazing to me that Carolina has clinched before Tampa.
Tampa's been on a bit of a skid. If Tampa had continued their path of dominance, they probably would have. The only team that surprisingly has been able to trip up Carolina lately is the Red Wings.
Yeah, Detroit.
Yeah.
What's their record versus Carolina?
It's like 5-3-1 or something like that. Or
That's
or 5-1-3. It's ridiculous. Well, there's always a team that bad Detroit gets. One year it was Boston. One year it was Montreal.
Mm-hmm.
This year it's Carolina.
That Montreal year, that was so weird.
The first time ever that Detroit had swept Montreal in a season, it was a year where they barely won any other games.
I know. That may stand as one of the strangest schedule wins-losses anomalies.
Do you want to talk about the Chicago
the Blackhawks
hockey team?
Almost certainly fall out of realistic postseason contention after dropping 3 gotta have them games, dropping 2 of them to the Predators. The Predators stand immediately above them in the standings, except now Dallas will be moving into that spot shortly. But on the ice, they looked light years ahead of them in defensive ability and physicality. We saw the first game and it was like, yeah, this is not going to go very well. And then it didn't go very well. And I shut the second game off with the Predators up 4-1. And somehow the Blackhawks came back. And I was like, what the fuck? But that last game, Nashville just imposed their will again and seemed to, kind of win most periods. Blackhawks had some good runs and opportunities, but, this will be a year that they don't make the postseason, and that's probably okay. They overshot where we all thought they'd be, so I'm not going to whine too much about it. You know, they've found some really talented young forwards and somehow lucked into a couple NHL quality goaltenders. So, you know, if they can fix some issues at the defensive end, like maybe this will be one of these legendary quote unquote rebuild on the flies.
Or if they keep putting players on LTIR, they might make it.
Buy a whole new team. Speaking of players in LTIR, today Andrew Shaw announced his retirement from the league after 10, it seems like all too short years, partially because he missed a lot of them with injury. He's retiring due to repeat concussions and medical advice that he should no longer play the game. Happy trails to, as they called him, the Mutt. You know, he was a energetic, undersized forward that punched above his weight class in many respects and happened to win 2 Stanley Cups in the process while generally being a fun guy to watch on the ice. He was either being a little bowling ball in front of the net or taking a penalty or, you know, scoring any number of clutch goals. So hats off to Andrew Shaw and happy trails. Sorry you had to retire too young, but also your knees won't hurt like mine do.
There is that.
And then got some relatively good news today in that Jonathan Toews is expected back for next season. That creates a bit of a logjam now at center. And they're going to have to kind of figure out how to... Dylan Strome was healthy scratched for all of these games versus the Preds. You know, one of their more consistent offensive performers, healthy scratched because why? Versus a team that you really struggle to score goals against. So
there's an implement of war that it has 2 treads on either side, and it's armored and has a long cannon on it. What is that called?
Submarine?
Close. This one's on land.
Land submarine.
The notorious land submarine.
No, we're all talking about a tank.
Yeah.
Gotcha. You think they're intentional tank there?
Do I think it's intentional? No.
Probably. I mean, yeah.
But
they don't exactly...
Sitting your best center for 3 games that you have to win against the team that's above you in the playoff, right? Push.
Yeah, that thought occurred to me. I don't mind them tanking that much. And, it's a little bit of a bummer, but they probably weren't going to beat the Preds with him either. So, yeah.
For teams that aren't tanking, Cole Caulfield made his NHL debut for the Canadiens.
Yeah, and makes it, a week after a bunch of practice videos of him just doing silly, fun things with goalies gets leaked. Like, could you hype a rookie any harder?
Well, the Montreal hype machine is amongst the best in the league.
Right. So you give them a couple dangle shots and you're adding your top rookie right before the playoffs, in which you made some pretty smart pickups, to gear up for. Like, God, they must be so stoked.
You can't deny it. He's been torching everybody since he was able to start playing this year. And so it's no surprise that he's up in Montreal for at least a cup of tea this year. We'll see if he ends up sticking for more than 9 games, or I think it's 7 games you get to play this year and have it not expire one of your rookie contract years. But yeah, hey, shout out to the kid. He's going to be a hell of a player.
He's 5'7" and like 165 pounds.
Yeah, there's a reason why he fell in the draft a little bit. And while all of the draft people were like, pick him, NHL teams were like, he's small. I just can't see it. I literally can't see him. He's so small. And like Corey Pronman and Scott Wheeler and Bob McKenzie were like, pick him, you idiots. Did you hear he's small? I just can't. I can't see him being a productive NHL player. I just can't see it. This is apparently the Dallas Stars scouting staff,
right? Which also happens to be the
scouting staff.
Also happens to be the scouting staff from Friday Night Lights.
Playing hockey in West Canaan, Texas, was the opportunity of your life, but I don't want your life.
Speaking of Dallas,
yeah,
in Texas.
Well, I think Dallas, the 2 remaining playoff races that are even remotely interesting involve Dallas and St. Louis. Right? They teams that we thought for sure were going to be that 4th team in, and then for months now we've been like, maybe they won't be.
Yeah, so Dallas
and now they are.
has a couple of games in hand over the Predators and a chance to catch them for that 4th spot in the standings. Kind of looks like it's going to come down to the final couple weeks of the season, which will be kind of fun. I mean, just to have 2 close playoff races after as weird of a year that this has been.
Well, and after the top 3 seeds were locked up in every conference a month ago.
There has not been a whole lot of standing excitement.
Well, like in the West, Vegas locked 70 points. Colorado locked 66 points. Minnesota locked 65 points. St. Louis 4th, 48 points.
They did not look like a 48-point team when they played the Avs the other day. Boy, had me eating my shoe. Colorado put in 2 goals in the first 3 minutes, and I wrote on our Slack channel, "Oh, this one's gonna be bad." And then
it was bad.
And then I went down to the, do some stuff in the basement and came back, and St. Louis had scored 3 goals. I was like, what? Where did? And then And then someone pointed out who was in net.
Yeah,
it's Devin Dubnyk.
I'm just gonna say when called it.
You kind of did.
I called it.
And what he ended up letting in 6 goals.
Called it.
It was a fun game. It was close for a little while.
Pretty much every Colorado game is fun, though. So I don't think them having a terrible goalie really changed that equation. Outside of the fact that they finally lost.
Yeah, that first 3 minutes, St. Louis was just like, what the fuck do we do with these players? They were all just looking and standing as, Nazem Kadri and Nathan McKinnon were speeding by defenders like they were turnpike cone. It was something else. The ebbs and flows of that game just made me really excited for playoff hockey.
Hopefully we get a little bit of a playoff intrigue as we get close. It'd be awesome if it was decided on the last day.
Absolutely. I'm pulling for Arizona, but would not be disappointed if St. Louis made it again. I mean, this has been a tough season for them. Tarasenko's back. There's players in St. Louis I can root for, but
I'm rooting for Arizona as well. I think anytime the Yotes make the playoffs, it's fun.
Yeah.
I like seeing them do well, despite the fact that their ownership is incredibly toxic, apparently. Thank you, Katie Strang.
I feel like anytime they make the playoffs, someone births an Austin Matthews. I don't know. Maybe that's a rule.
It's like the Super Bowl bump for babies.
Yeah. Or, it's sort of
babies named Tom Brady. As far as Nashville and Dallas goes, it's probably pretty obvious that I dislike Dallas.
Yeah, I don't really particularly like either of those teams.
The comedy factor says Nashville doesn't make it. Because Nashville, who should have absolutely sold at the deadline, for them to not make it, that'd be pretty great.
Yeah, and Dallas has done a little karma banking and having to deal with COVID to start the season, the Snowvid is what the Texans call it, I think.
The complete failure of their infrastructure that forced their congressman to flee.
Yeah, when their electrical grid went belly up. And then they got COVID again. So,
Tyler Sagan hasn't played yet. Yeah, they've got...
Ben Bishop has not played yet.
And will not play.
Right.
The human interest comedy factor says Dallas gets in.
I think it's going to happen just looking at the standings because Dallas is starting to turn it on and just beat Carolina tonight. So, I mean, anything is possible.
Finally, I think I'm gonna do a little bit of a mea culpa. I kind of shit all over Patrick Marleau's achievement last week.
I understand. Gordie Howe is Gordie Howe, and Gordie Howe is a hometown guy to you,
and I think that I got wrapped up a little bit in the Gordie Howe-ness of the record.
Sure.
And I was wrong. This is pretty great.
Yeah.
Good job, Patrick Marleau. Having that sort of longevity takes a lot of fortitude. It takes a lot of luck, but it also takes a lot of perseverance.
Mm-hmm.
And we have to remember, one of the things that I kind of overlooked in all this is that he lost a season and a half to labor disputes.
Yeah.
And so, that's 120 games. So we're probably talking about Patrick Marleau breaking this record while he was still a middle 6 guy 2 years ago, if we didn't have those those issues.
Right. And his reward for enduring all of this was watching Gary Bettman wax poetic for 10 minutes on the Jumbotron.
Yeah, which is a huge downer. Like, nobody in that building will have an erection for days. But
just anti-erections.
yeah, it's like picture the little blue pill. Now think of the exact opposite of that.
Just dry vaginas as far as the eye can see. I'm going to make it so dry for you.
It's low tide all over the Bay Area right now.
That's what Gary Bettman does to people.
Gary Bettman's nickname should be Low Tide. Gary Bettman and Ben Shapiro.
I mean, Ben Shapiro, who goes to who
bags his lumber,
right? Complains about liberals being soy boys and you know. And then goes to Home
doesn't
Depot.
Know how to buy a piece of wood.
Puts a piece of wood in a plastic bag.
One piece of wood. Like, what is he doing with one piece of wood?
I will have one wood, please.
What is it? He probably said that. He's like, "Can I get wood?" And they're like, "You know, this is a fucking Home Depot, right?" He's like, "I would like one of those."
Oh, his Twitter thrashing was hilarious. That was so good.
Anyways, Patrick Marleau. Congratulations. You're way better than Ben Shapiro. But also that's an awesome achievement. And I apologize for poo-pooing it last week. Congratulations. You'll never hear this, but congratulations on the same.
I think you can tell that his nice guy demeanor and sort of never having a bad thing really said or seen from him probably means he's going to be a Hall of Famer.
That's a big debate, right? I mean, he has the all-time games played record. Very solid NHL career. Stats are there. No cups, which...
Yeah.
Now, do you think that should immediately discredit a guy from being in the league or in the Hall? I don't either, but it does make the case for him harder. But then again, cups don't always guarantee either. You look at Chris Osgood, who has 300 wins and 2 cups. He'll probably never make the Hall despite having numbers that say he should. Patrick Marleau doesn't have any cups, but has numbers that say he should. So, you know, it's a hit or miss, or it's a toss up. I think he gets in. Maybe not first ballot, but I think he gets in.
Yeah, maybe second, but he's definitely going in.
Yeah,
I mean, I'm just reading the tea leaves of like the NHL marketing and stuff, and like, yeah, he's getting in.
Well, and it's voted on by the writers, and most of the writers came out and said, future Hall of Famer Patrick Marleau breaks Gordie Howe. And it's like, okay, well, if the people who are voting on it are saying that this guy's a future Hall of Famer, he's probably in the Hall.
Yeah, and as I think it was Sean McIndoe pointed out, you know, you sometimes have like the brightest stars of any period of time in the league, and then you have stat compilers. And, you know, he definitely has acquired a ton of stats. I mean, he scored a shit ton of goals in this record number of games he's played. And, you know, was a seen as sort of a paragon type figure. Yeah, he's definitely going in. And I mean, I'd take this as another opportunity to just congratulate him on this amazing achievement. And wherever his final number ends up, it will be a long time before
anybody comes close.
Another player tops Patrick Marleau's record for the most games played in the NHL.
Cool. Good for him. Like, I'm excited for him to finish out his career and hang him up. And, you know, we'll see what happens with the Hall. I'm going to guess he's in, but again, congratulations, and I'm sorry. All right, I think that is it for us this week. We'll have more next week. We got some good fun stuff for next week planned. Thank you, as always, for listening, for your feedback. We've been getting some really excellent feedback the last couple of weeks, and
yes, indeed.
We're thrilled to get that from folks. It makes us better, and it makes us more thoughtful, and it makes us work harder. And so thank you, everybody who has been reaching out. If you would like to reach out to us, you can find us all over the internets. We are at handsomehockey.com. That is our website. We are Handsome Hockey Podcast on Instagram, at Handsome Hockey on Twitter, or you can email us at handsomehockeypod@gmail.com, or find us at the Handsome Hockey Facebook page.
And obviously listening to us now, you found us on one of the many places we are available: Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Amazon Podcasts, Stitcher, TuneIn, Overcast, or Red Circle. And we hope to be in your ears more often.
Yeah, if your podcast hosting service, whatever you want to call it, has a rating system and you want to give us a 5-star review, that would be amazing. Those help us in the long term with being able to, if this becomes a thing, to find revenue in other ways, and be able to bring more content to you. If you are on Spotify or wherever and you can follow us, clicking that follow button helps us a lot as well. And it helps with our metrics and all that good stuff. And, we're giving it a go. So if you can do that, I just found out that I wasn't following us on Spotify the other day. So I went in and did that. So we've got maybe 2 or 3 now, which is awesome. But
and we also have a YouTube channel. We don't have anything up there yet besides just our episodes, but we will maybe add some video content in the future.
And you will be alarmed at how pale I am.
Yeah, they'll be like, you landed on the name Handsome Hockey. How?
Evan, how do you podcast with a ghost? That's incredible. Where do
you should really turn down your white balance.
What spectral realm do you call him from before with a Ouija board? Thank you again, everybody, for listening. We really appreciate you. And stay handsome, everybody.
Restez beau.